So, my memory, Marv, is that I came up over the hill in my car, and all of a sudden, boom, there's this silo with, I called it a violin painted on the side. I couldn't believe it, a violin on the silo in the middle of the cornfields of Iowa.
Yeah.
So of course I had to stop, and I get out of my car, and I'm taking a picture. And all of a sudden this white truck of a car goes crunch, crunch, crunch over the gravel and pulls up alongside. And you stuck your arm out like this, leaned out the window, and you said, do you remember? You said, well, you play the fiddle? And I said, no, do you?
I said, no. I play at it. Yeah.
And that was the start. And he said, well, then you told me about the jammers. You said, well, we get together every Monday night in my garage, right up there over the hill in Miles. I never heard of Miles.
Never. No.
He said, you can come if you want. I said, well, I don't play anything. He said, well, you can sing, can't you? There was no saying no to this guy. I said, okay, you write down where it is. So you just over the hill there. You just go up over the hill and turn left. And
I probably told her to go up top the hill and follow her nose.
and then he said it was, how did you tell me to recognize the house?
Third house from the corner.
The only one
From
with...
the highway over the third house.
You said it's the only one with...
Oh, the only one with the mailbox. Everyone else goes to the post office. And I said, I'm paying for that. Why don't I have the mailman just drop it off here in front? So I set up the mailbox. When we got here, the mailbox sat around in the back by the door.
That makes no sense.
They weren't using it.
Oh.
I said, poop, that's what you pay, $70 a month or whatever it is for those services.
Yeah.
So use them.
So that's how I met Marv Manning. And I went to Peoria and I came back and thought, you know what, I'm just going to check this out. See if I can find the house with the mailbox. And I did.
And she did, we can't get rid of her.
He doesn't want to. Yeah, and ever since, whenever I can, I come through here and tried to make it on a Monday night to catch the jammers.
Yeah. We've had a lot of good jams here since we've come over here. It's hard to believe, but we've been on, it's going on 8 years.
Wow.
Here. And I can remember the first couple jams we had when the lady from Bellevue come down, I can't even say her name, played mandolin.
I know
Peggy.
what you mean, Peggy. She cleaned houses for a living.
Right. And she said, she sat there and she said, man, this floor of this garage looks like it's new. And I said, the whole building is new. We just had the garage built. That was the first jam we had in it. And she just couldn't get over that.
She paid attention to
There
the
was,
floor.
yeah, there was no tire marks on it, no grease, no oil, no dirt, no nothing. She looks brand new. And that's because it is.
And the music sounded good.
You know?
You had microphones and...
Oh, yeah. We still have, I still have the big speakers, the PA, the mics, all that stuff. I just run out of jammers.
How many were you, would you say, normally?
We started out at regular ones, like 14.
Mm.
They come from Savannah, Dubuque, East Dubuque, Clinton, of course Bellevue, Macocata.
And were they professional musicians? No.
There was a few of them there, like Bob Peters, that had played for dances, through the years. Del Hammond had a band years ago. I sat in with him and played different dances in Macocata and whatever when it was short a bass player.
But like, what were some of the jobs or ways that people who did play, what'd they do for a living?
Oh, everything.
Like,
Bob Peters worked at John Deere in Dubuque. Bob Hare was a carpenter. There's just all walks of life.
Hank, commercial fisherman?
Hank was a commercial fisherman. Gary Abney worked at, when I first met him back in the 50s, he was working at the A&B grocery store in Savannah. When that closed, he went to Belvedere and worked in that tire manufacturing plant over there. But people...
Gary?
Gary, yeah.
Minister.
He was a minister.
Mm-hmm.
I met Gary back in the 50s. He was working at, like I said, the A&P, but he lived in Savannah. He was all of his life. His folks were big in the church. They were both preachers. And Gary and I have played, well, ever since the 50s, different little jobs around where he would never play in the places that I played, in the bars and stuff. He just
Didn't want to go there.
well, you can understand it.
He didn't want to be a...
You can't go to church on Sunday and be preaching and have somebody say, "Well, I seen you down to Kennedy Saturday night." You know, that just wouldn't work.
That would work. Okay.
So he just never did. He'd come in. That's how I met him. He would hit the places on the weekends just to find out who was new, who was around, and that's how I met Gary. And I evidently liked the way I sang and played bass because he got with me a couple different times when we played out the high school and just different little things around through the years, down to Thompson.
Your first partner though was your wife. Wouldn't you say?
Well, I don't know about that. I was playing music long before she was around.
I know, but with the Jammers. She goes
Oh, with the
further.
Jammers? Yeah. Well, yeah, she was. When the Jammer, and we started jamming, do you remember the year we started to jam? It was the first or second year
Let's get Judy in here.
that we done, we had the barn, we started the jam.
Oh, we were jamming in Belgium for like 12 months.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying, did we start the first year or
Come
the
on
second
around
year
here, Judy.
at the jam
You
when
can
we
just
had
edit
the barn?
that out.
I think we probably started as soon as we got settled in, but I can't.
Oh, yeah.
It's there's been a lot of them. We jammed in the first floor by where the cafe was at
I'm gonna get on the other side.
in the winter time because you couldn't heat the upstairs of the barn just to sit there and have a jam when it was real cold.
Right.
So we
You get the two of them.
He said you're moving around way too much.
I know, but you can edit that out. Is this yours?
If it's
It
black.
was.
No, that's Boss.
Okay.
yeah.
You
But
know,
we
that's-
started
Oh, mine's
Thank
over
you.
behind.
Thank you.
we started the jams. I'm thinking the first time was on a Wednesday night. And through the years, we swapped them to different nights because one guy had this going on, somebody couldn't make it, and someone else had something else, and then they went to Thursdays, and then they went to this, and then they went to that, and finally went to Mondays. Kind of hung in with that one. Anything you want to add to that, Mom?
No, I was just going to talk about all the different people that we had met through the years for it.
It's just like these right here.
Yeah.
These people just stopped by because they seen that big fiddle and their kids played violin and they wanted that picture under that big fiddle. And it's just like you and the friends we met through you, you know, that since the time you've been around, Bob. And if it wouldn't have been for the barn, we wouldn't know you from a bale of hay. you know.
Yeah, really.
It smell better.
I was in the kitchen around the corner because we lived in the back side of the barn, and it was fall, but it was a nice day, and I thought, why am I hearing violin music? And I just couldn't figure out where it was coming from, and I finally walked outside and walked around, and there they were, two little kids and their parents were filming them.
But they were
It was
playing.
Thanksgiving time because they had gone somewhere for Thanksgiving and were on their way home, and they were from like Indiana or somewhere, and saw the fiddle and stopped. The fiddle stopped everybody.
It was a hot afternoon one day. I was cutting grass, and I blew a belt off the tractor. So I pulled up on the east side of the silo, and it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in the shade. So I could get under there and get that belt put back on. And all of a sudden I'm hearing somebody talking. I'm listening. I get up and walk around the silo. Here's a guy with a movie camera. You see, you're not going to believe this, but I'm out in the middle of the mile here, and here's this great big fiddle painted on. He was narrating and taping all that stuff and taking pictures. But that's different things like that. I mean, it's amazing. It really was.
Yeah.
And then we had do you have any pictures of the old time group
Oh, this is great.
that come every year?
There might be some in here.
We had,
not all of them.
We had a group of people.
Old time folk
They
music.
just played old time folk music. They come every year. They rented the barn for the weekend. They set up tents and cars and pickups, anything they could sleep in, and up on the parking lot and down the lower parking lot.
This
And
is some of them.
and they played and danced
Hmm.
all night long.
I mean all night long.
We lived under the barn on the lower side, on the east side of the barn. There was an apartment there. And you could just hear them up there stomping and beating on the floor and singing and dancing all night long. And they came year after year after year, and they come right up to when we sold it.
You know, I think, what is it about the fiddle? I mean, this is just something about a fiddle that,
Yeah.
Just like the Alabama, if you're going to play a country band, you got to have a fiddle. Or they say if you want to play in Texas, you got to have a fiddle in the band. Same way up here.
And that folk old time music, it just always blew my mind because they weren't country people. They were physicists and
really,
doctors and lawyers.
School teachers.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I had one school teacher that played violin, she said, for I don't know how many years, taught school, or just hung it up, put it under the bed. Raised 3 kids, taught school, and then when she retired, she drug it back out, and they were with that group down there.
Yeah, one of those ladies, I have a picture up there. They drew a picture of the barn in black and white and gave
What
it
they
to
call
us.
themselves.
No, that was a different group. Light at the
That was
river.
Light at the River.
Yeah, that was a different group.
Anyway, there was quite a group. This one played a harmonica, a little old lady, and she just blow the man. She's good on it, you know. And that dulcimer, another played the violin, and they sang and whatever. They just had a good time.
yeah.
We've, like I said, made a lot of friends. Got to meet a lot of people. Everyone says to us, "Man, don't you miss the barn?" No, you don't really miss the barn so much. You miss
The
the people.
people.
You miss the people.
That
Exactly.
common.
Exactly.
We had in the cafe part when she ran the cafe, we had people every day, just like clockwork. They was
Probably a
there.
lot of regulars.
Yeah, they were
Oh, definitely
Yeah.
there
regulars,
for
but
breakfast every day, just like clockwork.
and we didn't always get pictures of everyone. But like we said, these people stopped because of the fiddle. And most of them would say, "Oh, I've got an instrument in the car, let me go get it." Then we'd sit around, so that guy brought his in. This one
Yeah,
was
Joe.
one that brought in.
Look at
A lot of times for Christmas and Thanksgiving and things like that, she'd put on
This guy was a college professor from
who is?
the one we went up and he wanted to do a video
Oh,
for
that guy, yeah.
Iowa Public Television. And
We
I
went
know
up
his
there.
name if I could think
We
of
went up
it.
to Leisure Lake
Leisure
and done
Lake,
it for
yeah.
him. And that night they had a terrible thunderstorm. Man, it lightning and the wind blew and everything was black. Here we sat in there trying to play this thing, booming and a bang outside. Well, we've had some wild times.
This girl was on her honeymoon and they stopped.
She can play.
Yep. Oh, was she good?
Oh my goodness.
But that lady was with her whole family, played and sang and had a regular bluegrass band.
Did you have any idea when you bought the barn that this is what it would be like?
Oh, Marv's been into music all of his life, and that's what he wanted was
Yeah.
music.
We just had the inkling, but we didn't know it was going to grow into that type of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't think either one of us ever figured that would happen.
Probably a good thing, huh? Or you might not.
oh no, we'd have probably done it soon.
Yeah.
No, we really loved it. Made a lot of friends. This was a group that we just started playing. I pointed that one out to you before. That's us on the stage up there.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of those people down below not only listened, but some of them were players too.
That is terrific.
Yeah.
So how did
And-
you meet Fran?
I was sitting out on the patio one night watching the hummingbirds.
Here?
No,
At the
the
barn.
At
barn.
the barn.
And in popped this red pickup. And it was just after we quit having dances. And Bill jumped out, walked over, and started talking to me and asked me if this place still had dances. And I said, no, we haven't had this year, but we have jams. And we talked a little bit, and that's how I met Bill and Fran, and they started coming down.
He said she plays, or she sings. Or...
She, Fran loved to sing.
Yeah.
She just really loved to sing. Her timing was right on the money. She had really, really good timing.
Quite a voice.
And she, she, like everybody else, there were certain songs that you can do. Your voice can go so high or so low. There's very few people can hit them all. The high and the low just don't work that way. There are a few.
Did she have a couple favorites?
Fran?
Would she like to sing a train?
Storms never last.
Storms never last. Yeah, she liked to do that, but she just liked to sing. She would pick out songs. She had come down one time, I'll never forget it. She always said, you gotta get on the computer and get this song, Little Old Dime, Jim Reeves.
How'd it go?
And, well, I can't tell you how it goes, I don't know the song.
Okay.
Little Old Dime is the name of it. If you get on YouTube and just type it in, you find it, and it is a good song, real good song.
We're busy.
We just didn't have time to learn
Sit
it.
down.
Talking about a spoiled dog. You want to get up here and get in on it? Come on.
I want to sing.
I was looking for a picture. We had a young boy that started playing. He loved music. And his parents, he didn't have a driver's license, so his parents would bring him over from Maquoketa to play with us. And he played drums when he started. His dad was in a band and was a lead guitar player. And he played a long time with us that his parents had to bring him over to the jams. And I don't know just when he said, oh, I'm going to quit playing drums and I'm going to start playing guitar. And I said, guitar players are a dime a dozen. You need to stick with the drums. No, I'm going to play. And so now he plays lead guitar, but he's a good musician. Formed a
He's a good
band of
guitar
his
player.
own. His own, yeah. And he's a good drummer too, it just makes me sick.
His dad played guitar for years, Larry McPherson. And I played through the years with him a few times. And Matt had a good teacher. His dad would sit down and show him, and he picked it right up. And he'd get on that damn guitar. You get Merle Haggard's Working Man Blues and that type. If you sat in the other room, you'd think it was a regular band playing.
Wow.
I mean, he hits it right on. He's good.
He had a knack.
Yeah.
Did you teach yourself, Mom?
Yeah.
Anybody in your family play?
My mother played a little slide guitar, type of Fran did, and sang and yodeled and whatever. And I had a couple uncles that played a little bit, but I more or less just picked it up on my own.
And you did, Judy, didn't you? Teach yourself guitar too?
Not really.
No.
I started with guitar lessons and then picked up from Marv and just practiced a lot, learned the chords, and I bet I practiced an hour a day for a year. And I'm just a mediocre. I'm rhythm. That's, it. And then Marv taught me how to play bass and kind of worked
She
on
does real
that.
good at the bass. A lot better than she thinks she does.
This is Matt here, but he's got a wig on. We were just acting up one night, but he's a good little musician. Yeah, he's a lot older now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's married and got his own kids now.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're probably playing too.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have stopped and played with us through the years. We had one couple here I was going to point out that they stayed with us 2 or 3 years, and then life just got busy for them with grandbabies and
Look
things.
at that.
Marty and Roger.
Oh, yeah.
And they just come and go. Some of them, like Hank and Henry. Some people call him Hank, some call him Henry.
What is he like?
Well, Hank and Gary.
But I mean, what does he prefer to be called?
Who?
Hank, Henry.
Anything. I call him
Just don't
Henrietta.
call him late for supper.
I call him Henrietta.
His son is with him
That's a pretty
there.
good picture of Gary.
Yeah. But Hank and
Oh,
Gary
yeah.
have probably stuck around the longest.
Remember that old boy?
Yes.
Marv?
This one we lost because he passed away. It was real
This guy on the left used to play here, and he moved to Deming, New Mexico.
Yeah, Carl. Him and his wife, they started at the barn, and then when we moved over here, they came over here, and then he was from this area. Well, they both were. But, yeah.
Have you ever been asked to play at somebody's funeral?
Oh, God, yes.
Yes.
But I don't do it. Gary does.
Really?
They just played at Bob Peters.
Really?
Yeah, Hank and Gary did.
I'm too emotional for that kind of stuff.
We played
They sat
for
there.
something for the city there.
They played Supper Time, Gary and Hank. Have you ever heard that song? Come home, my boys, supper time. You never heard
It's all
that?
sad.
It's a religious song. I sat there and cried all the way through it. I couldn't sit up there and sing that way, in front of a casket. It was someone. If it was a stranger I didn't know, maybe, but who's going to sing in a stranger's funeral? I just can't do that kind of stuff. I just can't do it.
I'm not sure who's here, but the guy playing drums, Bud McCartney, Marv played with him years and years ago, but they played professionally. I mean, they were out earning a
Well,
living.
when we were playing in Savannah 4 nights a week, Bud was our drummer.
Yeah, and he came back. Well, you can see how old he is. They came over. I think they were living around Rockford then, and since then they passed away. And you can just barely see the guy on the other end, Dal Hammond. He also played professionally, but jammed with us at the barn for a long, long time. Just because you play professionally doesn't mean you don't enjoy just sitting around jamming.
Right, exactly, because
Yeah.
you love music.
Right, you just love
We've
music.
had a pile of them, I'll tell you, that That Dick Plegler that you came down from Guttenberg, that guy was a real good musician. He could sit and play the steel guitar or lay it down and pick up the Spanish, and either one, and just do a wonderful job. And was a good singer.
Wow.
He was just all around a good musician. And there was Don Gardner, Franny Gruber, I don't know, there was 6, 8, 10 of them from around Dubuque. And they're all gone. You know. At old age catches you. First thing you know, you're planting daisies.
They're from Bellevue, Marty and Roger Rowe, and their lives just got too busy. They just, with grandbabies and working, and Roger's into buy, sell, trade, and goes to the flea markets and stuff, but we really enjoyed them a lot. And they played 2-3 years before they grew away. In fact, I bought my guitar from him.
Wow.
He made me promise if I ever sold it, I had to sell it back to him. And I said, well, you won't ever get it back because when I buy something, I keep it. So I still have it, love it. We had an Amish family that came for a long time too.
They came with Bob Hare.
Right, Bob
They
and
were from Michigan.
And they came down.
We used to have couples when we were having the dances at the barn from Minnesota
Oh,
come down on Saturday nights to the dances, and they not just one time, several different times.
I would imagine the energy of a place.
That's a pretty good haul
It's
for a
like,
dance.
Yes, I think, yeah.
But, you know, you can go to a dance, but if it doesn't have that camaraderie,
Well, I'll tell you,
that feeling of...
The acoustics and the atmosphere in that old barn were just great. They were
Had a
really
magic.
great. The sound on the stage and everything, the acoustics were just nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
Really
the
good.
tales.
Oh, the tales, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
A lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it's,
Yeah, it was a lot of good times.
See, that guy has passed on, and that guy has passed
Correct,
on.
everybody looking at there
Bob,
outside
isn't
of
Yes,
me.
it is.
Bob Peters.
He was a lot of fun.
This is a good photo.
And Ralph Kramer, I don't have any pictures of Ralph.
There should be, but I didn't come across any. That guy was from, not Branson, Nashville, wasn't it? He was a friend of Dave's. I can't, Diamond something?
Yeah, Joe Diamond.
Joe Diamond. He was from Nashville, and he was a friend of Marv's. He was a friend of a friend.
This guy right here, his name was Dave Mickles. I got to know him when we were playing at Savannah years and years ago. And he was a country fan from the word go. Couldn't sing or play nothing. And didn't dance. All he wanted to do was sit and drink beer. But he just loved old country music.
Yeah.
And I got to know him through the years and just pop up every now and again. There he'd be.
When you two lived in is it Georgia?
Georgia.
Did you play music there? Was there?
At the end,
At the very tail
I
end.
got kind of burnt out from playing for such a long time.
Professional.
Yeah, and just I sold everything when we moved. And after we were down there, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, there was a guy by the name of Whittemore, lived right straight across the road, that used to play music. And I got talking to him one time. We were talking about used to play music, used to do this, used to do that. And, well, I played guitar and I did that. And I told him, well, I was actually a bass player. Oh yeah? Well, I got a bass over there under the bed, and I got a guitar over there. So, first thing you know, we started getting together and doing a little duet. And he said, what's the name of that little restaurant down there?
Was it by Tunnel Hill?
Yeah, no,
Before
South.
Tunnel Hill.
South, not north. Anyway, down south of Ringo, there was somebody down there run this little restaurant, and he knew him. He said, let's go down there. And after they closed, we sat in the back room. So that's where it all started again.
It pops up.
Yeah.
He, what would you call it? He was like a gold miner. They had property down by Helen, Georgia, and that's where they discovered gold right before the California gold rush. And the
Whittemore's-
California gold rush kind of sucked them all away.
Whittemore's were all carpenters. And they done whatever they could do on the side. And they went down there and either leased or bought,
I think they bought it.
and they built,
A
each one of them
Swiss.
built their own little place to live and whatever.
Wow.
And they ended up dredging for gold, and they may be there yet.
Could be.
But they found it. Remember that one great big nugget? They found one big nugget. That big. That big around that
Yeah,
one.
you don't think it's
That
gold
went
in
to
Georgia.
California.
Oh, yeah.
That went to California, that big nugget. The biggest gold mine, or the gold was ever found, was in Dahlonega, Georgia.
Nice.
And then they had the California gold rush, and everybody packed up and left, and they lost it. And they never found it back, yet to this day.
Wow.
That's what the Whittemores are hunting for. If anybody ever finds that thing, they're gonna be instant millionaires. Yeah. But those guys, they went into it, actually in a pretty big way. They went and bought a dredge, a portable dredge, and they worked the stream, mountain streams. They get in there and dredge it, shoot the water through, and rocks fly out there, and the water flies out there, and the gold's supposed to drop in the pan.
Because it's
Yeah.
heavier. Did you see that here a while back? They said that gold is actually two dead stars colliding, probably
Really?
provided
Wow.
all the gold on our Earth.
Wow. Wow.
Mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling. Just for the story's sake, you were a professional musician, Marv, right? And then you guys packed it up to go.
He worked construction
I was working
too.
construction
Heavy equipment.
at that time. Years
And
before
playing
that,
nights.
all I did was play music.
Okay. Were you working construction when you had Mooney Hollow?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Wow.
yeah,
When we moved out of Bellevue, I was tending bar and we were working.
you were working on the
there.
river.
And you had a restaurant.
And yeah, restaurant and bar.
And you worked on the river.
And I worked on the river with her brother,
Doing what?
running tugs,
Oh,
Helping
helping the barges in
in
and out of the
out.
locks.
okay. Okay.
But when we sold that and bought Mooney Hollow Barn and run them both for a while.
A year we ran both businesses for a year.
And then we sold
I was ready to retire.
And we sold the one uptown in Bellevue and went to the barn. She started running the cafe and I went back to work in heavy equipment.
Many hats.
And then I decided to go back to college.
And got her master's
Yeah.
in.
Then I got sick and had 6
Special
surgeries and time was
education.
fit.
He's still
He
sick.
started dealing on yeah, but you wheel and deal too.
Yes, he does. He keeps
With
his
what?
hands
You
in-
would find a car here and then you'd fix it up and sell it there and.
Oh,
buy a boat here.
I try to
sell
do a
boat,
little
buy
bit.
lawnmowers.
I just try to keep doing something to keep going. If
It's
I
not
just
the
put it all
money, it's-
together, I'm gonna fall over in a heap. That's all there's gonna be to
Exactly.
it. I mean, I'm just trying to keep my mind occupied.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know how much longer that's gonna work.
So what's happening now with the jams? Nothing.
There is no jams. We don't have anybody.
There's just,
Since
everybody's
Fran's
just
death?
getting so old.
Yeah.
I put 3 times an ad on the internet for Dubuque, Cedar Rapids, Rockford, and the Quad Cities. And I told them what we do, and I put it on there the way we did, that we didn't want anybody coming up here drunk or drinking, just enjoy themselves. But we wanted old traditional country music or whatever. You know how many responds I got? one from a bass player. And we already had 3 or 4 of them. Guy from Bellevue, he come down here at the end and played bass. Other than that, she did or I did. But I would like to have someone else play most of the time where I could play the fiddle. You know, fool around with that.
Because you
So-
really got you and Judy and
Whoever
Hank
shows up.
and Gary.
That's all. We don't have any.
That's it.
Everybody else is gone. They're just gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. It seems like Henry. I can't hardly sing anymore. I can get 1 or 2 out if I'm lucky. And I got to have a bottle of water. My throat dries up, and I sing and gag and carry or cough and gag and carry on, and I can't get nothing done. Henry, if he's in the right mood, he'll sing maybe an hour without stopping. But if he's not, he'll want to. He'll sing one, and he don't want to sing anymore for you know
And
what.
you have to have a singer.
You do.
And you got you need 2 or 3 or 4
Mm-hmm.
at least singers. Guitar pickers and bass players, you can find them. It seems like without too much difficulty. But to find singers that know and can sing the old traditional country songs, I tell you, there's not very many of them around anymore.
Yeah.
And we're just all getting old. That's all there is to it. Like
Marv's 75.
Henry has lost 4 of his family members in the last like 3 years.
Yeah.
And his brother was one that joined us and played and sang
Jim
too.
Swan.
He came from Wisconsin, would drive from Wisconsin once a week
Yeah.
to come to the music.
Yeah.
He was
Henry
well,
lost Jim, and there was another brother called Dumpy, and another one called Bob.
and
there was
did he
a,
lose his sister?
and a sister named, I think her name was Sue. She died last year. But that's
That's a lot.
yeah. I mean it really is.
That's a lot to bear.
In just a couple of years' time.
And then Fran and Bob both in the last 6 months, it seems like.
Well, it all started seem like that last round with Bob Hare, Del Hammond, Ralph Kramer, and Bob and Fran. Just in the last, little bit.
The last group.
And I'll tell you, that just about shut you off.
We can import some youngsters from San Francisco, Marv.
Well,
There's a whole crew of them there who play country. Like a
they play
lot
country
from
or
like,
they play the stuff they call country today. There's a big difference.
well, I think it's,
If it's what they call new country, today's country, it's not country, it's a country pop.
no,
country
no,
rock
this
stuff.
is, this
They
is
play
country
the old
bluegrass.
stuff,
This is
yeah.
country
Country
bluegrass.
bluegrass
in
or George Jones, Merle Haggard, Buck Owens, that type of thing, Bakersfield sound. That's the kind of stuff that we're looking for. And you find very few people, young people today, they'll stand all day long and tell you Merle Haggard is their idol, he's just great.
there. They can't.
And then they'll say, well, do something, and they'll take off on some crazy thing that makes you sick.
Well, I'll go scouting for you.
There you go.
Because there's a
You scout a few up and get them over here, that'd be the next
will.
one.
I'll scout them up. They'll probably come on out. Yeah, there's a little coffee house about 3 blocks from my house called the Atlas Cafe.
But then you're 1,500 miles from your house.
Oh,
that's
just
the problem.
let them figure it out. They'll just come on out here.
Yeah, don't you wish? I'll tell you, it is. It's
I
tough
know.
anymore.
I know.
Well, you can bring some with them. We'll put them up somewhere.
There you
The
go.
people that
Bus.
played, through our years, are about all gone. They're just, it's just like if you stop and listen or look and think about all the country stars that you've heard for the last 25 years on the radio or records or whatever, and see how many are around today.
It was
They're
a
not.
special era.
They're watch Hee Haw some night. 99.9% of those people are gone.
And what's out now doesn't hold a match.
Mhm.
The same with the.
That's why I
RV.
was so impressed, and so I felt so good about this album we were just telling you about earlier, that's Vince Gill.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of new singers today that can sing. They have a darn good voice, but they're doing stuff that they can sell CDs by, and these younger people, for pop rock, that's what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And
Why is it called Bakersfield Sound?
why?
Because that's where they were living.
That's because that's where it was recorded and stuff. Bakersfield was a big deal out there. Buck Owens and Merle Haggard and all those kind of people. The Dwight Yoakam that made the Bakersfield sound, and it was a big thing. And this album that Vince Gill is doing or did, that's why it's called Bakersfield. He's got Merle Haggard, or he's doing himself. Merle Haggard, Buck Owens, all them guys have done all that stuff through the years out there and made hits.
Yeah.
And he's doing all the hits on there. And it's really, I told her, I hadn't bought a CD in 15 or 20 years, and I just don't give a poop about it because there's nothing that's any good. Well, I ordered that one this morning on the internet.
I want to hear about it when you get it.
It's good.
I want to put it on Facebook to Vince Gill to let him know that you know it's good if my husband's buying his
After
CD.
15 years, exactly.
Yeah, Vince, do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes,
Have
absolutely.
you ever seen him interviewed or anything?
No,
He's just the nicest, politest,
regular guy.
Just
regular
nice.
guy. He said on the family reunion a while back, he said it really impresses me to be able to sit here with you folks. He said, I wish that these young people that I play music with every day had a feeling for each other like you folks do. You know, and it really tells you something.
They went through hard times together.
That's right.
And melded them.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's just all together different
They
these
haven't
days,
lived.
you know.
Yeah.
But that's life in the fast line, I guess.